Do you want to unleash an arsenal of abilities that go far beyond just your arc powers? Imagine throwing endless grenades, constantly regenerating your health, and igniting enemies with fiery projectiles, all while enhancing your entire suite of abilities. Are you ready to harness the storm to create a build where every ability, not just arc ones, is supercharged? In this video, we're diving into an arc-focused prismatic build that's designed to keep you in the action, always casting and always dominating. We'll explore how you can use the Crown of Tempests to drastically reduce your cooldowns, allowing for a nearly endless spam of grenades and other abilities. Want to see how you can heal on the move with Phoenix Dive, launch devastating storm grenades, and turn every enemy encounter into an explosive display of power? Stay tuned as we break down the key aspects, fragments, and exotic gear that make this build unstoppable. We'll also look at the perfect weapon synergies to keep your energy flowing and your enemies falling. Get ready to transform your Warlock into a relentless force of nature. Let's dive in and let the storm guide your path to victory. Subclass and Focus. For this build, we're using the Arc-focused Prismatic setup. The beauty of Prismatic is its ability to enhance non-arc abilities as well, giving us flexibility and power across our entire arsenal. We're harnessing the storm to supercharge all our abilities, not just the arc ones, creating a crazy ability spam build, which is a lot of fun. Ability-wise, we will use Phoenix Dive as our class ability since it has the shortest cooldown and offers more flexibility. Unlike the Healing Rift, which has a longer recharge rate, you are not stationary and can always heal yourself, as you will see later on. For our grenade, you will use the Storm Grenade. This is key, and you will see why as you follow the build explanation. And for our melee, we will go with Arcane Needle because it will help to fill up your Darkness Transcendence and also stacks 3 times. It will also synergize very well with this build, as you will see in the following breakdown. Now, the final thing to choose for your subclass is the super, and that's going to be Song of Flame. It's positively powerful right from the start, giving you an extra 90% damage resistance while in the super. To put that in perspective, a Well of Radiance provides only 20% resistance. Not only that, but when you activate your Song of Flame, your teammates also receive an extra 30% damage resistance. Once activated, you become a grenade and melee throwing machine. You launch heat-seeking solar grenades followed by a supercharged incinerator snap, repeatedly one after the other. Because these abilities still trigger Devour, many people enjoy spamming them just for fun. However, I should remind you that the super also grants Radiant, which means if you use your weapons, they will deal 25% more damage. A fun bonus is that your kinetic bullets will also apply Scorch on every hit. Lastly, when your Song of Flame super ends, all your abilities are instantly restored. Essentially, if you ever find yourself out of abilities during gameplay and then activate your super, it acts like a reset button. Aspects. Our key aspects include Feed the Void, which grants us the Devour effect. Our Devour effects will continuously restore our health and grenade energy as we eliminate enemies with ability kills. Since our abilities are always active, we will have unlimited access to this buff, enhancing our survivability through tougher situations. For the second aspect, we will use Hellion, which launches solar projectiles when using our class ability, dealing significant damage and igniting enemies. Thus, every enemy will be scorched by the mortar, enabling more passive damage without any extra effort. On the fragment side, for the first fragment, we will use Facet of Hope, which boosts our class ability regeneration when buffed. Since we have an elemental buff active at all times, we will recharge our class ability faster than we can use it. The second fragment we will use is Facet of Balance, which allows us to regenerate our abilities even faster. By rapidly defeating targets with light damage, we gain more melee energy, and by defeating targets with darkness damage, we ensure that our grenade recharges faster. The next fragment we will include is Facet of Sacrifice, which ensures we gain Darkness Transcendence even faster. Currently, the build is focused only on light energy, so while we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, our ability Final Blows grant bonus Darkness Transcendence energy. We will also include Facet of Dominance, which allows us to weaken targets, while Transcendence with our Prismatic Void Grenade. More importantly, it allows us to jolt targets with our Arc Grenades. To further ensure survivability, we will use Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. This effect is even more pronounced when we are transcendent. Now let me explain which exotic gear will fulfill this build, given the direction our build is taking so far. Central to this build is the Crown of Tempests. Arc ability or Jolt final blows increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Storm Trance. Now you might ask, arc abilities? Aren't we running Arcane Needle? You're totally right, and here's the crazy part. In Prismatic, it will completely recharge all of our abilities, so it doesn't matter. And what's even better is that you can stack this buff up to 3 times. So why should you care, you might ask? Because if you look at the value, it means that you will experience a cooldown reduction of 66%. Moreover, this reduction affects all your abilities. The duration of this buff, called Conduction Tines, lasts about 6 seconds. So because you have your grenade up all the time, you will maintain this buff and constantly spam your grenades. And because the Storm Grenade hits so hard and has a huge damage area, you will easily achieve 3 kills, which will ensure that you have this buff nearly all the time. But what if you couldn't land 3 kills? No problem, because thanks to our Fragment, the Storm Grenade can jolt targets. So even enemies that aren't close enough to the damage area get jolted by the lightning strikes, just because they are standing close to each other. Furthermore, this counts as a grenade kill and will secure Conduction Tines. Now let's talk about weapon synergy. Given that you can pull Conduction Tines with jolting, you might wonder why not use a weapon with Volt Shot. You're absolutely right. However, you don't necessarily rely on a Volt Shot weapon because of the incredible potential the Storm Grenade has. But really, it's up to you. Just try what you like. I personally switch out those weapons too, as they can refresh Conduction Tines even outside of using arc abilities. This means you can maintain high energy regeneration rates across different combat scenarios, maximizing the versatility of this build. Whether you're using arc abilities directly or relying on Volt Shot from your weapons, you'll keep your ability energy flowing robustly. There are 2 possible builds. For the first, focused on ability spam potential, you can run Brigand's Law or any other weapon that has Volt Shot. On Brigand's Law, I use Volt Shot, of course. For those who don't know, Volt Shot sends out lightning strikes similar to the Storm Grenade. When you reload this weapon after defeating a target, it becomes overcharged for a short period, causing it to jolt on its next hit. Because you rely on constantly reloading, faster reloads are important. This is why I use Threat Detector. Also, I've masterworked range, because pistols don't typically have good range. For the other special weapon, I go with the Call. Here, I have chosen Desperate Measures because I think it integrates well into this build. As we achieve grenade or melee final blows, which will happen quite frequently, the damage of this weapon also stacks. Weapon kills grant a 10% increased damage for 7 seconds for 1 stack. Grenade or melee kills grant 20% increased damage for 7 seconds at 2 stacks. Scoring another grenade or melee kill increases this to 30% at 3 stacks. But what's even better is that weapon kills refresh the buff's duration. This makes it very easy to maintain the damage boost. For the heavy weapon slot, I would recommend Thunderlord because this weapon also jolts targets. There is nothing more to explain. You see where this goes. It will jolt targets and pull the buff from Conduction Tines of our exotic helmet. For the second build option, you can run Polaris Lance. However, in this scenario, consider replacing Facet of Sacrifice with Facet of Bravery. This allows us to get volatile rounds. Defeating targets with grenade final blows, which we will be doing constantly, grants volatile rounds to your void weapons. Since Polaris Lance is excellent at clearing rooms, it becomes even more effective. Targets afflicted with this unstable void energy will explode upon taking additional damage, and this effect spreads across the battlefield. For the heavy, it's really up to you. I just got lucky with my Edge Transit with Bait and Switch and Ambitious Assassin. Both builds are listed below, and you will find a dim link for these 2 options. Just to summarize what you learned so far, and to understand how powerful the build is, I'd like to underline the crazy synergies here. With Jolt Final Blows, you get conduction times from our exotic, which boosts the recharge rate of all your abilities by 66%. Then you will get Amplified, which is an elemental buff that gives you, through the aspect facet of Hope, an even faster recharge rate for your class ability on top of the 66% faster recharge rate. This enables you to heal constantly and gives you access to Helion, the Solar Mortar. And crazy enough, it will also trigger Feed the Void, which grants you even more health and grenade energy regeneration while defeating targets with ability Final Blows, which you have pretty much all the time with conduction times. Because you also want to use the Prismatic Super, you will experience a fast recharge for the Light Transcendence bar. But because you also want the Dark Transcendence to fill up quickly, you benefit from the effect of the Fragment facet of Sacrifice. While you have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, your ability Final Blows grant Darkness Transcendence energy, which is pretty much all the time. So here is the crazy cycle. Furthermore, your special sidearm, the Call, is getting buffed with a potential 30% more damage due to ability Final Blows. This also ensures more Dark Transcendence energy. Oh, and did I forget to mention that your Super will also recharge faster while you have the Conduction Times buff. And getting out of your Super also gives you instant access to all your abilities because they are completely recharged. Also, you will be creating up to 19 orbs of power in one single Super for you and your teammates. And because you are constantly amplified through the exotic helmet, you get additional benefits. Increased speed. While you are amplified, you will move faster, which enhances your movement around the battlefield. Improved handling. Weapons handle more smoothly and efficiently, allowing for quicker aiming and firing. Enhanced abilities. Your arc grenades will also recharge faster. Now let's look at your armor mods. On the helmet, I use 3 Ashes to Assets for bonus super energy from grenade kills. 3 firepower mods on the arms, so that we get more orbs of power when we defeat enemies with grenade Final Blows. On our chest, it's really up to you. I just swap them out based on the activity-related incoming damage. On the legs, I use Innervation, which reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. Insulation, for faster cooldown of the class ability each time you pick up an orb of power. And Absolution, so each time you pick up an orb of power, every recharge rate will be reduced. For our class item, I use Bomber, so every time we use our class ability, the grenade cooldown is also reduced. Powerful Attraction for the second slot, so we collect all orbs of power nearby when casting our class ability. And Reaper, so the first kill we make after casting our class ability creates an orb of power. Now let's move on to armor stats, and which stats you should prioritize for this build. Most important should be Resilience for more survivability. This should be the absolute priority. The second one you should focus on is Discipline for a faster grenade recharge rate, and for the last stat, I would aim for Recovery. Don't forget about our seasonal artifact mods. These add an extra layer of power to our build. Overcharge Armory boosts the effectiveness of our dealer's choice weapons. Winning Hand causes defeated enemies to explode in a solar detonation, adding extra AoE damage. Press the Advantage improves weapon handling and stability after breaking a shield. Threaded Blast enhances the explosion radius of strand weapon angles. Radiant Orbs grants us Radiant when picking up orbs of power. Galvanic Armor reduces damage taken when amplified, which we achieve by getting arc ability kills. The next would be Shield Crush, which provides an additional 25% boost to your grenade regeneration and damage while amplified or radiant, which feels like it's always active in this build. For the typical gameplay loop, there is not much more to explain. Just use all your abilities to gain access to the crazy set of buffs mentioned earlier. Throw your grenade or get kills with Volt Shot to gain access to conduction times, which allows you to keep using your abilities frequently. Maintain this buff and also get amplified to increase your speed, improve weapon handling, and recharge your grenade faster, making you more powerful in combat. Trigger Devour. Use Feed the Void to trigger Devour by defeating enemies with ability Final Blows. This will constantly regenerate your health and grenade energy, keeping you alive and ready to fight. You should switch back and forth between the Call and Brigand's Law, or any other Volt Shot weapon to benefit from the damage boost. Now I know that was a lot of information, but I want to make sure you understand the specifics behind the build you're using. I've started a Patreon recently and mentioned it because these videos take so many hours to make. I've really tried to explain every detail of this build in a pleasing visual way. Financially, I hate talking about it, but I wanted to mention that if these videos have helped you, consider checking out the Patreon linked below. Starting at just $1 for Lightseeker, $2 for Voidwalker, and $3 for Sunbreaker, just in case you really like these videos and would love to see more. Thank you for watching. Your feedback through likes, subscriptions, or comments would be immensely helpful to me as I continue to grow this channel. Now, jump back into the game, give this build a try, and let me know how it turned out for you.